There's a team-up for Lieutenant James T. Kirk, Paul Wesley, I'm excited to see on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3. Kirk has been a welcome recurring presence on the USS Enterprise commanded by Captain Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, since he formerly beamed aboard in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 6, Lost in Translation. Wesley played other alternate versions of Captain Kirk, but Lieutenant Kirk is the younger version of the future captain of the Enterprise played by William Shatner. In Star Trek, Strange New Worlds timeframe, circa 2259 to 2260, Lieutenant James T. Kirk is the newly promoted first officer of the USS Farragut. Kirk is on the fast track to Starship Command, and he occasionally visits the Starship Enterprise to learn from Captain Pike and Number 1, Rebecca Roman. Kirk has already teamed up with Ensign Nyota Uhura, Celia Rose Gooding, who introduced Jim to Lieutenant Spock, Ethan Peck. But there's someone else on the Enterprise I can't wait for Kirk to join forces with. Kirk and Nurse Chapel already know each other, but you wouldn't think so on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. Chapel and Kirk both served on the USS Farragut. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds hasn't made the connection explicit, but Lieutenant James T. Kirk and Nurse Christine Chapel, Jess Bush, must already know each other. Before Christine transferred to the Starship Enterprise, Chapel served aboard the USS Farragut with Kirk. This was confirmed in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 1, Episode 4, Memento Mori, when Chapel wore a Farragut pin during Starfleet Remembrance Day. Lieutenant Kirk joined the USS Farragut in 2255, so unless Jim somehow evaded visiting sickbay for years, he must have already met Nurse Christine Chapel. Kirk and Chapel haven't spoken to each other yet on Strange New Worlds, although they were both on the Enterprise bridge during the grand finale of Star Trek, Strange New Worlds musical, Subspace Rhapsody. Kirk has interacted with several other Enterprise crew members, but not Chapel. Hopefully, Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3 has a Lieutenant Kirk and Nurse Chapel team-up, or at least scenes together, in the cards. Paul Wesley has exhibited dynamic romantic chemistry with Christina Chong's Lieutenant Lauren Noonien Singh, and Kirk has lit up the screen with Celia Rose Gooding's Uhura, Dan Ginot's Lieutenant Sam Kirk, and Rebecca Roman's Number 1. Chapel's neurotic intelligence as played by Jess Bush would wonderfully complement Paul Wesley's cocky stride as Kirk. Kirk and Chapel have one other big Star Trek thing in common. Kirk teaming up with Spock has to happen in Strange New Worlds Season 3. Along with their experiences aboard the USS Farragut, which can shed more light on what life is like on that little-seen Starfleet vessel, Lieutenant Kirk and Nurse Chapel have someone else aboard the Starship Enterprise to commiserate over, Lieutenant Spock. Chapel has a rocky romance and unresolved feelings with the Vulcan science officer. Kirk barely knows Spock on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, but he's already fascinated by the Vulcan and enjoys pushing Spock's buttons. Nurse Chapel already loves Spock, and Kirk is well on his way to forging his eternal bromance with his favorite Vulcan. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds also hasn't pulled the trigger on Kirk and Spock working together for the first time, and that's another team-up I'm dying to see. Maybe in Strange New Worlds Season 3, Spock, Kirk, and Chapel can be assigned together, with Jim caught between Spock and Christine's issues while Chapel witnesses the growing chemistry between Spock and Kirk. Nurse Chapel is part of Captain Kirk's Starship Enterprise. Strange New Worlds is quickly assembling Kirk's future crew. Star_Trek_TOS_cast. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds has wasted no time in putting together the pieces for Captain Kirk's future USS Enterprise crew in Star Trek, the original series. Although the Star Trek prequel is about Captain Pike's Enterprise era, Spock, Uhura, and Chapel, as well as Dr. Joseph Mbenga, Babs Olusanmoken, who was also in Star Trek, the original series, have been crucial players in Strange New Worlds from the get-go. Lieutenant Kirk joining Star Trek, Strange New Worlds so soon in its run was surprising, but the prequel has since added Lieutenant Montgomery Scott, Martin Quinn. Scotty is confirmed to be a series regular on Star Trek, Strange New Worlds Season 3. While it's unclear how many Strange New Worlds Season 3 episodes Paul Wesley's Kirk will be part of, James is already a regular presence on Captain Pike's Starship Enterprise. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds has already shined at depicting team-ups that Star Trek, the original series didn't focus on, like Lieutenant Kirk and Ensign Uhura joining forces. Captain Kirk and Nurse Chapel, Majel Barrett Roddenberry, didn't have notable screen time together in 1960s Star Trek, but Lieutenant Kirk and Christine's younger selves can and should in Star Trek, Strange New Worlds. How Kirk and Chapel teaming up on Pike's Enterprise could illuminate their characters and relationship is fascinating to contemplate, and will be even better if we finally see it.